Greetings, Patrick here, 8 Questions with, and it is the first show of the week. Uh, and what a way to start off the week. Uh, how many times do you get a chance to interview somebody from a movie that is going to be your movie of the year, even though you are still 4 months out? Well, I guess I'm going to find that out tonight because we are interviewing screenwriter and director Dane Elcar, whose movie Brightwood is is my movie of the year. I'm already calling it. I'm already calling it. I don't see any other movie coming up between now and the end of the year that's going to be Brightwood. Um, it's a fantastic film. Um, it's, it's really, really, really good. It's frightening, it's darkly funny, and it is terrifying. Um, raises a lot of questions about relationships, uh, and how to deal with the toxicity within one, what it can lead to. Um, it's a fantastic movie. Uh, I watched it twice, and it'll blow you away. Uh, it's coming out next week, next Tuesday, as a matter of fact. The movie will be released on Tuesday, the 22nd of August, and it's from Cinephobia Releasing. And I've already talked about Cinephobia before. Um, Ray Murray, who used to own Art Exploitation, he sold his company to Kino Lorber. He got tired of sitting on his butt, and he decided to get back into the game. And he restarted his company, calling it Cinephobia Releasing, and he is back to his magic. Our exploitation. I I already had a movie of the year from them once, a movie called We, a Dutch film, which was my movie of the year when I saw it. I've seen several excellent films from Ray, and he definitely knows how to pick them. That's for sure. Fantastic, fantastic eye for a movie. My second favorite movie I've ever filmed, I ever reviewed, was Molly. I got to interview both directors of that film. Uh, Brightwood, Brightwood would stand side by side with Molly, side by side. It's just as good to me as Molly was. Um, it's fantastic, utterly fantastic film. Uh, and what a visionary in Dane is. This movie, I mean, it's going to take you all over the place. To me, it's like a really grown up version of an episode of The Outer Limits. It is just amazing movie making. Storytelling is fantastic, and the acting. Two actors, um, Max Workendike, who will be here on Friday. The star of the film will be here on Friday. Hopefully, we'll be able to get Dana. We talked to Dana, and in fact, I had to talk to both actors because the strike is in the play. Max initially was a little reluctant, and I don't blame him at all. And I was totally prepared for that. Um, but then I saw through a friend of ours, a former guest who who posted what a SAG after member could do without getting in any trouble. And one of them was doing podcasts like this one, because in their eyes, in the SAG's after's eyes, we're too tiny to matter, which is fine. Normally, I might get a little irritated at that, but you know what? I'm not arguing with them. Hey, if that means I get guests like that to come onto the show, I'm tiny. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Anthony. See, Anthony has now got 890 subs, so he is 110 away. Let's see, and Sarah is back from her 10-day cruise. That's right, Sarah is back. So we will probably be getting a haul video from Sarah sooner than later. I also put a new haul video out. I actually went to the library and had a good haul this week. Pretty good, pretty good. I got a lot of stuff for under $6. I paid $5.75 for my haul, so I was pretty happy about that. Um, So yeah, we're gonna be talking to Max uh, this Friday, and then I talked to Dana, and we both agreed that Dana would like to do the show afterwards, after the strike's over. That's fine because this movie's going to be as fresh with me from now until next year, the year after that. It's one of those movies that's going to stay with me for forever. So I'm pretty excited about that. So we're going to get the whole cast. We're going to get both leads and talk about the movie. This originally, Dane's movie, Brightwood, originally came from a short that he started himself called The Pond. So we're going to talk to him about that. We're going to talk to him about the journey, about how Brightwood got made, and has his career as a screenwriter and director, and occasionally and doing some acting. So I'm very excited about this. This is going to be a lot of fun. Hey, Stephen, how are you? Hopefully you're feeling better. Hopefully you're feeling better. Um, okay, so let me tell you what's going on with with the calendar. I might have dropped the ball for tomorrow night. I'm gonna try to see if our guest is coming in tomorrow. I might have bobbled it, so I might have to be rescheduling it. That happens. I'm not sure yet. I'm trying to figure that out. In fact, I pretty much can already tell you that it's probably going to get rescheduled. Um, but on the 17th, we will have actress Kylie Nicole will be here with us at 8 o'clock. On the 18th, I mentioned we're going to have Max. Max is going to come in and hang out with us on Friday at 8 o'clock. He is a star of one of the two stars of Brightwood. Um, then on the 22nd, we have young makeup artist Anna Monge will be here with us at 8 p.m. And she does fantastic work. For someone so young, she's only 23, I think, 23, 24. She has some fantastic skills. Good. Well, yeah, I'm sorry about that, man. Hopefully you'll drink a lot of water, drink a lot of Gatorade, um, warm tea, hot tea. Um, and then on the 23rd, we have a double header. This just got added on, so we have a double header. I'm so happy about this. Um, so at we're going to be having director actor Joe Cornett, and actor producer Alexander Nevsky come on in, and they're going to be talking about their new horror film, Night of the Caregiver. Now, I have wanted to talk to these gentlemen for a while. I've been a fan of Alexander's for years. I first saw him in a movie called Showdown in Manila that he did with Casper Van Dien, and it had a really cool vibe to it. It had sort of like an Expendable vibes to it at the end. When Alexander's character whistles for all these cool, kick-ass '80s action heroes, Cynthia Rothrock, Don the Dragon Wilson, among some other ones that came in to help his character out at the end. Casper Van Dien was absolutely a hoot in this movie. And then I saw him do a film called Black Rose that I also reviewed, and that was with Christiana Loken and Adrian Paul from The Highlander, and that movie was a lot of fun too. And Alexander is driven. That guy he's a mover. So him and his friend Joe Cornett, they have made a couple of Western films in the Rio Bravo series, and they are now venturing their first trip into horror. Uh, so the show will start at 5 o'clock on the 23rd. 5 o'clock. They'll be here at 5:15. It's going to be a quick one. We only get them for 30 minutes, so which is better because initially I was only going to get them for 20 minutes, and I've seen other interviews on YouTube. They all got 20 minutes. We got 30. Take that. That's right. Got 30. Um, and then we're going to be coming right back at 8 o'clock, and we're going to be talking with artist Joshua Adams at 8 p.m. and his art is fantastic. Wow! Wait till you see what this guy can do. I don't know how he does it. I'm not sure exactly how it's done. I really want to see. I really am curious how he does his art, and he's going to be talking to us about it on the 23rd at 8 o'clock. On the 24th, we have director and actor Michael Mignard, who's releasing his film "You Should Have Killed Me," which is a homage to the old British gangster films, which is really gritty and but also fun as well. There's a little bit of a Kill Bill influence in there, a little Tarantino in there. It's a lot of fun. It's a fun film. It's a very tongue in cheek, and and we'll be talking to Michael about his film on the 24th. On the 25th, we had to reschedule our guest, but we'll have artist Amy Kay, mixed media artist Amy Kay, will be with us on the 25th. So we will actually probably see her do some art on the 25th. Okay, we're now going to the 29th. We'll have the cast and crew of the film Dying to Sleep. They'll be here on the 29th. We're going to be firming together who's going to be on the show. We're going to firm that together. Hopefully, we'll have an answer for you by tomorrow or Thursday night. And then on the 30th, we have Ross Verger will be with us from the podcast Up the Middle. Ross is a former Secret Service agent, and he has a lot to say. And we'll be talking to him about his podcast, how he got into it, what was it like working in the Secret Service. He worked on President Clinton's detail. So this is going to be very cool. And I've listened to several episodes of his podcast. The man has a lot to say. And he's not holding back anything. And then on the 31st, we have the young, rising, very lovely actress Morgan Thompson will be here with us. Morgan Thompson will be with us on the 31st at 8 p.m. And she just took her second plane trip. She shared that on her Instagram that she was flying for the second time, or her Facebook, that she had to fly to a shoot, and it was only her second time that she's ever flown, and the first time that she's ever flown alone. And I don't know why, but I just found that really cute. And the Echo is here, and he's working on something. That's a good thing. He's working on something. Hi, Katie. How are you? Let's see. I better make sure that my friend is okay. Did I do that one? I do. Let's see. I think I did it. Let's see. Give me 1 second here. We still got 2 minutes. Okay. All right. All right. So Dane will be here with us in a couple of minutes. I just want to make sure that everything was copacetic, and it is. So he will be here right now. Speaking of that, because for a minute there, I was thinking, the worst thing could happen is I would expect our guest to get here, and then he get caught in this big ass circle. But luckily, he found his way here. So let's go. Help me introduce, or help me welcome in our guest, Dane Elcar, from the director from the movie Brightwood. Here we go, and share us out if you can.
Oh, hello. Oh, there I am.
Hello. Yes.
Hello. Can you hear me?
We hear you perfect.
Oh, great. Excellent. How are you doing this evening?
I'm pretty excited.
Oh, good.
I'm pretty excited.
Thank you for inviting me on. Yeah.
Well, thank you for making the best movie of the year.
That means a lot. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Oh, my hands down. Oh my gosh. Yeah. What an awesome movie.
Holy. Oh, thank you, Patrick. That's very nice of you.
It was.
Before we get into it, where are you calling from, or where are you chiming in from?
I am located in southeastern Michigan. I am about
Oh,
17 and a half miles away from Ann Arbor.
okay. Yeah. My father was from Michigan.
I'm originally from California.
Oh, I'm from California. Where are you from in California?
I grew up in Southern California,
Uh-huh.
uh, in the Inland Empire, Ontario, Pomona, Chino,
Oh,
and
sure.
then I
Yeah.
moved to San Jose, and I
Uh-huh.
lived in San Jose for 16 years, and then in '99 I moved out to Michigan.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
I was born in LA, so, and I grew up in Southern California, but I'm now in New Jersey, in Princeton. So,
not a
uh,
bad place to be though.
no, nice university. Einstein
Uh,
is
and
here.
LA is wow. It's really suffering over there. It's really suffering.
Yeah, I mean, I do love LA. I go there. I have family out there. I have friends. It's very expensive. If you want to pay $20 for a bagel, you can go to
Yeah,
LA.
yeah, you're not kidding. You're not kidding. It would probably cost you about $40 to have a bagel and a coffee, and a large
Yeah,
coffee.
yeah,
Just
I
a
know.
supermarket. Um, but wow, you know, I have to say, this is I wasn't shocked when I watched your movie and was blown away by it, because Ray Murray has a fantastic eye. That guy, his eye is on point. He knows how to pick movies. He knows which ones are going to do really, really well. Um,
Yeah, I mean, Ray's great. I love
he's. I'm trying to get him to come on here, so
Ray.
we can pick his brain
Yeah, I
about
think he's
this.
a little shy. I don't know if he would do that.
He said he would. We're
Okay,
talking
good.
about it, because I believe like this. I believe that directors,
Mm,
screenwriters, and people who run a studio, or distributing, I think they should be seen. I think they deserve to be seen and talked to.
sure. Yeah.
I would love to have Ray come out here and explain the process about how he finds how he finds folks like you with their fantastic movies and brings them to the public.
I mean, you don't really hear very often from distributors, and you certainly don't hear very many interviews from distributors on kind of such an independent film level. I mean, he really kind of globe trots and goes to festivals and finds these films, and then makes deals with their sales reps. So,
Um, yeah, he's this is he also, I don't know if you knew this, I'm sure you did, but he also ran this was the second company. The first company he had was
arts
Art
exploitation.
Exploitation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, and
You like
uh,
their stuff, huh? Yeah.
oh, yeah. My second favorite movie, and this is how high I put you guys. My second favorite movie that I've reviewed over 600 films. Um, but my second favorite film I ever reviewed was a movie from Art Exploitation called Molly. And your movie is side by side with them.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah. I don't know if I know Molly. I have to look it up.
It's a Dutch film that
Hmm.
was written and directed by Thies Muse. Oh God, I always kill his name. Thies Muse and Colinda Bongers.
Mm.
It's a dystopian film. It is fantastic as
I
well.
feel like I should know it. I feel like would recognize the title, or it's close, but I can't place it right now. So
Um,
I'll have to look
yeah,
it up.
Thies made a second movie. He did like a prequel to Molly called Kill Mode, and
Oh, okay.
hopefully there will be a sequel somewhere down the line. Can you see the chat? Okay.
Can I see the chat? No. Where's the chat?
Uh, if you look on the button of are you on the computer or the phone?
I'm on the computer.
It should say comments.
Comments. Oh, I was in. That's funny. I was in private chat. Okay, comments. Oh, hi. Hello, everyone.
Is everybody there? Everybody saying hello.
Yeah.
Hey Reed, how are you? See, and our friend Jennifer Tuck is here. Joseph, the horror guy, is here, and of course Sarah. Sarah is a very very avid collector as well.
Oh, well,
All
hello.
right. Um, I'm pretty excited too because I'm gonna get all three of you guys on the show. I'm gonna have you
Oh
tonight,
yeah,
then Max, and then Dana. Dana and
great.
I will probably talk after the strike's over.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Uh, um, uh, yeah, it was funny because I got Max and we booked the date, and then the strike started, and then all of a sudden he's like, I'm not sure if I could do this, and it was funny because the day before, another SAG-AFTRA posted a a SAG-AFTRA can still do, and
Yeah.
one of the things they mentioned was you can still do a small podcast.
It's a,
Tiny
you know,
pod-
it's a, I mean, first off, I should say we all 100% support the strike, and we think this is a really important time and an important moment to kind of uh, really fight for fair pay and all of that for future artists. It is a little confusing. We are an ultra low budget film, which is technically a struck contract, and so we do have to be careful. We are currently have applied for an interim agreement, which will allow us to promote, but we have not gotten that yet. So we are waiting.
Well, I really, really hope that that passes because your film really deserves its moment in the sun. It
Yeah.
really does, and I can tell you right now, I will be beating the drum for this movie forever. Uh, that's how
Well,
much.
I do believe that now within this whole conversation, now is the time to really celebrate independent films. I mean, we clearly had very little for very small films. So
You know what's funny too, Dane, is the fact that when the COVID strike happened, right,
mhm.
and there was no movies being put out, and
Right.
who saved Hollywood during the summer? Was it Universal, Paramount, Disney? No,
No.
the company that bridged the the COVID from the for the until the theaters open back up.
Yeah.
IFC Films.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
That's
was
true.
them. They had two #1 hits. They had one film that was #1 at the box office for 6 weeks, and they carried
Mhm.
it all. They carried it all the way through, and then of course that once everybody went back to the theater, they got forgotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. There you go. Such is the way.
Uh, so let's talk a little bit about your start. Oh, because we'll be talking about Brightwood, but I'm gonna build up to that. Um, I was sort of hoping my friend Anthony would be here tonight from the Cinema Squad, Fever Dreamland Theater, because I told him this movie would appeal to him so much.
Mm.
We are huge Twilight Zone, and I'm a huge Outer Limits remake of 1990s.
Sure. Yeah.
Uh, Huge fan of that. So
I remember watching those. Yeah. Sure.
I think the Outer Limits is the best anthology I've ever seen.
I
Um,
haven't rewatched. I'd love to go back and watch them because they were. I mean, I remember when they were on TV. I in the '90s anyway. I love the Twilight Zone. I mean,
I do too.
I watch those when I can.
I watched the Twilight Zone. I was a big fan. I mean, I was, but then all of a sudden, then I saw the Outer Limits remake, and I'm going like, this is really pushing the boundaries here as far,
Mhm.
getting close and being better than the Outer Limits. Of course, the Outer Limits had time and certain constraints against them.
Yeah.
Outer Limits could have more freedom, but that isn't always, that wasn't just. There's been a lot of anthology films or series between those two that weren't even close. No one approached the Twilight Zone. I mean, not even Rod Serling himself
Yeah.
with Night Gallery. But
Yeah.
the Outer Limits 1995, they have some jaw-dropping stories.
Yeah. I got to check that out again.
So you mentioned that you were born and raised in California in the LA area.
Mhm.
So what was it like for you what was it like for you growing up?
Uh, I mean, in general, it was good. It was quite well. I didn't live in LA. I was born in LA, but I grew up in a much smaller city called Santa Paula. It's about 45 minutes or an hour north of Los Angeles. Very agricultural community, a lot of lemons. My father is an actor, and he started a local theater there called the Santa Paula Theater Center. And a lot of my childhood was playing in this theater. While people were rehearsing, I was the annoying kid running through the aisles and playing with props and breaking windows accidentally and all of that stuff. So
So that was actually
yeah,
my first.
I very much grew up in theater.
I was actually going to ask you that. I was going to ask you, was your dad Dana?
Uh-huh. Oh yeah.
Damn, I had a feeling about that. I was like, no, that maybe is it Dana? Yeah, I mean, who didn't love Dana Elcar?
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy man,
I love talking about my dad. Yeah.
your
He's
dad's
great.
awesome. Well, you know what? It sort of explains where the talent came from, didn't it?
I mean, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, it's been in the family. It's been in the blood, maybe. He loved theater. He loved literature, always reading. He really pushed that on me. And then, his TV work and his films, um, he loved doing that too, but his real passion was theater. He was like an old school theater guy, and everywhere he lived, he would start a theater. I kind of grew up in that whole environment. It was very much a part of our life and our household. So
Um, so I mean, growing up with a dad who was very very well known, I would dare say very famous. Um, yeah, I used to watch your dad all the time. I used to watch him everywhere. He was
I
on.
mean, yeah, on MacGyver. When he was on MacGyver, I was a little kid. But it's funny. He was so loved by a lot of the people in the community that everyone was talking to him anyway. It was occasionally someone would come up and ask for an autograph, and being a little kid, I'd be like, "What are they doing?" You know. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of good memories.
He was a warrior, because he was didn't he went blind during the filming of MacGyver, if I'm not
He did,
mistaken.
yeah, yeah. When I was 7, yeah, he
Now
lost his sight due to glaucoma.
right.
Mhm.
I remember the series I remember your dad most from was Bob Bell Black Sheep.
I love Baba Black Sheep. Yeah,
Me too.
it's a great
Me
show.
too.
Yeah, I
Um,
watch
and,
that every once in a while.
watching him and Simon Oakland square off against Robert Conrad, I was just
Yeah,
yeah,
he was Colonel Lard, I think, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he used to
Uh,
tell a bunch of fun stories about jumping into like foxholes and landing on the bullet shells and and he directed a number of those episodes. I think he directed 4 or 5 of them.
yeah, that was a really good show. And it actually came out one of the more famous directors. In fact, he's still working today, and that was James Whitmore Jr. Very prolific
Oh
director
yeah.
today.
Hmm.
But let's talk about you because you got to look up at this. So obviously, were you always interested in film because of your father? I mean, was that always in your blood, or did you go out there and do other things, to maybe see if maybe there's something else out there for you? And did you ever feel the pressure? Did you ever feel the pressure to break out of the shadow, or were you comfortable there?
Oh, I mean, interesting. No, I feel like when I was a little kid, I've always just been obsessed with movies and wanting to make movies. Um, I don't know if it took a long time before I made a feature, but I think that the passion was always there. The drive to play with cameras and make little films and do that, and then of course writing. I've always been writing as well, whether that be plays or screenplays or short stories, and so it started very young, and I didn't want to ever do anything else. And then of course you spend your life doing like all these odd jobs. So
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, that helps though. It helps build character, right?
absolutely, no, yeah, you learn about life. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So
Let's see. Going to the chat real quick, and Jennifer is on your side. She says she loves the Twilight Zone.
mm.
I love the Twilight Zone too. Especially there's the episode. What's your favorite episode of the old Twilight Zone series?
I mean, either it would be either a classic like the of course the one with the glasses and the books with what's his name.
Enough time. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's the other one that's like I'm sorry, you're probably so much better at the actual titles than me, but there's one where it's like a machine that it's like a slot machine, and he
Well,
can't
right.
stop playing it.
William Shatner.
Yeah,
Yes, yes,
I
that's a good one too.
I always
That's a
like that one as well.
let's see. Let's see. Our friend Echo's got a first question for you. He says, where do you draw your ideas when it comes down to writing? So let's talk a little bit about that, because
Mhm.
that's probably came first for you as far as your creative side goes. Was probably writing came first, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the thing that you do alone. So it's the thing that you start out at least doing it alone. So uh, where do ideas come from? I don't. I'm not really sure where the ideas come from. I don't want to sound too much like David Lynch saying it's like you go fishing, but when I do have an idea, when it does come to me, um, and I am writing, I write pretty regularly. I try to do it as much as I can in a routine. This film, for instance, Brightwood, started as a short film, and it was called The Pond. And when I first started thinking about just getting trapped, going around in circles, what
Mhm.
that might mean in a story, how I would be able to successfully, not only write it but film it. And so the idea was just so strong for some reason of some. Originally, it was just one person getting trapped, going on a walk around a pond. And one of the reasons why I chose a pond is because I lived in Westfield, New Jersey, a little north from here, and I just had a baby. And one of the things that you do is you go out. I had a little jogging stroller, and I'd go out and I would go and jog around this pond. I'd jog with her, and I became very familiar with the pond, and the lighting and how it would change. I love photography, so I'm always looking at the light, and you kind of things that you start to notice that things that should be um, pretty and lovely, with a different shade. Suddenly, you're looking at the root structures of a tree, and it can be very sinister looking. And I knew this location so well that it suddenly hit me like, oh, well, I should just film here. I should film something here. Um, so then I quickly wrote an outline, and I ended up shooting this short film. And in the process of making this short film, which was kind of more like an experiment to see if I could really work the plot structure, to see if I could make it seem like you're actually going around in circles. A lot of these things are just technical things, like you need kind of these placeholders. Um, so I just wanted to see if it could work, and I wanted to see if I could make it entertaining. And yeah. Oh, and in that process, as I was doing that, I basically said, oh, like, what if this was a couple? What if I could throw some kind of couple right on the verge of breaking up, and suddenly they're trapped in this kind of nightmare scenario. And that's kind of where it started. And then that percolated for years in my brain. So,
Yeah. What a great idea. What a great I mean, it's executed so perfectly too.
yeah, thank you.
Seriously, seriously, I mean, it's funny because you could not have picked a better couple. You really couldn't.
Oh,
I was actually
yeah.
watching, when I was watching the movie the second time, I was thinking, well, who would actually, I was trying to replace the two between Max and Dana. I was trying to replace them. Like, what two actors would I want to see out there do this movie out there? And I'm
Yeah.
sitting there and I'm watching that, and I'm thinking about that. And then at the end of it, I'm going like, you couldn't. You couldn't replace those two. It was almost like it's almost like you knew they were going to be in your movie before you even wrote it. It was
Well, I'm
like
going to
this.
tell you that there was the way this came about. So Max and I have worked together for a very long time. We've known each other for a very long time. He's my producing partner, and he's a great, brilliant actor. And we had been working on a project years before, and we were getting really good progress on that. And then, of course, COVID struck, and it really stopped a lot of that. And the drive, you know, the almost obsession or passion to like see a feature film through and actually make it and finally do it was so strong.
Mm,
We wanted to do it, and so during this time and during COVID, it was basically, I had already done this short film years before. I had this idea, and then suddenly it was like, okay, just on a practical level, how could I make a feature film with limited people, limited resources, limited people? And it just started clicking. Oh, I could do this idea. I could make this film. And that was a really important, decision to make. So then I started, kind of writing it, and I wrote it very fast. I wrote it in a couple of weeks. And it was very long. It was very long. Sorry, what?
Is that your process? Do you write? Do you get an idea and just write it out furiously, or was it like
sometimes the initial ideas sometimes come quick and you write them out quick, but that's not the process, for screenwriting. It's a very important process of rewriting and kind of honing it down. And this is where Max and Dana really came in, is because I finished the script. I think I gave him like the second draft. Max really responded to it. He suggested Dana Berger, who plays Jen. And then what I did was kind of unusual for filmmaking, but we had time because there was COVID and there was Zoom. So we would get on these Zoom calls, I think once a week and then twice a week, and they would just read the script, and then I would go and I would rewrite it, and then they would read the script and then I would rewrite it, and we would do this over and over again, and we'd talk about it. And like I said, the basic points were there, but it was about honing down the language and really getting them so that they felt comfortable speaking the words. So I wanted it to be a much more collaborative effort, because I knew, having had the experience of being in the woods filming something, that it's not comfortable, and it was not a comfortable shoot. You're outside, you're in the elements the entire time. And so all of those conversations that you would normally have of, what if I say it this way? Or, could I say this instead of this? All of that was done in kind of these Zoom rehearsals and the writing, and part of the writing process for me.
How long did it take you to film how long did it take you to film it?
We filmed for 12 out of 16 days. So there was some days off for 12 days.
Okay.
And it was pretty intense shooting. We lucked out with the weather. It rained a couple of times.
I was gonna say it had to be an intense shoot. It had to be. The movie's so intense.
Well, I mean, it's funny. We all agreed to do this, and on paper, it's like, you read it and you're kind of exciting. But yeah, in reality, it meant we're all going to be running a lot for for 12 days. And then of course, I kind of knew I was filming it as well. I shot it, so it's, I'm not a Steadicam operator. I went out, I got a kind of a cheap Steadicam. The whole operation, I was able to put my camera on it, and then I just had to practice. I had to teach myself how to use a Steadicam, because every time they're running in the movie, I'm running, but I'm running with backwards and looking at a monitor and with a camera.
That's what made the movie. That's partly what made the movie work, because it was so disjointed. It was so uneven. It was jarring.
Yeah,
and it has to be. If that would have been a smooth shoot, if everybody would have been focused and everything would have been fine, I think it would have took away a lot of the magic. But the fact of the matter was it was a little bumpy, a little bit, you could definitely tell there was a lot of movement. There was never, the camera moved a lot,
Well, I was looking at a lot of cinematographers' work, and Robbie Mueller really came up, and he did the Lars von Trier movie, Breaking the Waves. And I went back and I kind of watched that simply because there were parts of it that are out of focus. They really just freed themselves to kind of just film emotionally, as opposed to really be so to look for a perfect image, which is what a lot of people usually do. And it was kind of I didn't use specifically his techniques or anything, but it was very freeing to me to watch that, because I said, oh, I could do that. I don't have to worry about having everything in focus all the time. The camera can move with the actors. I don't have to do all these different setups, and that was a very important thing to kind of realize in the process of trying to film it.
Now, you just based this off the pond. So,
Mhm.
what were some of the biggest? What are some of the biggest changes from when you wrote the pond versus Brightwood? Other than because they went from being a single person to a married couple. How did you make the transition from that? Like why did you decide to make it about a married couple instead of just a
I,
lone? Did you ever think about doing a father and their the little child running around trying to get out of that?
no, I think that what I wanted, or what I saw an opportunity as I was making the short film, um, I saw an opportunity. I didn't know how it would play out, but I said if it was a couple, there could be a lot of opportunities for kind of a metaphor on relationships, and what I could do with that. And if it was a couple specifically that were right on the verge of getting a divorce, and then kind of the cycles that can happen in a long-term relationship, the toxicity that can happen, or going in and out of love and hate. Um, all of these kind of like started stacking up. You never know, you don't really see it, and it's hard to, until the film is done and you're actually watching it, then you go in retrospect, it all kind of comes out. In the moment you're kind of working on a scene, but I saw the possibility of that. I saw the metaphor, and I knew that I could potentially use that, and so I always thought it would be great as a couple.
Did you? Was there any couple that you drew upon? Was there anybody in your past that you?
No, I've been in a long-term relationship for a very long time. My wife thinks the film is great. She loves it. She laughs.
No,
um
I was thinking, was that inspired by anybody else you knew, not necessarily your?
No. I think I think what it, well, for me, the where I get the inspiration, it's kind of like living, of course, you've been with someone for a very long time. You're At the time we were stuck inside during COVID. We had a young daughter. So there was this kind of like routine that we would do, like, oh, I'm not washing the dishes again, you know what I mean? And you get into this, you feel kind of trapped. Um, so certainly those emotions were there, and the frustrations could be there. But the great thing about the film and writing, and even this kind of the absurdist nature of some of this movie is I could ratchet that, all of that, up to like an 11. I could really see, once I knew the game, I always knew how the film was going to end. Once I knew the game of them going around,
And
then I could just take this couple who were talking in my head, and I could drop them into this scenario, and just kind of, this is probably why I had such a great time, because I kind of just like let them run around, and I would write and write and write, and let them argue and blah blah blah, and yeah, and then of course,
it's such a great story. And the ending, never saw that coming. Didn't see that.
good.
It was just weird. It was like weird because you're thinking about that. You're thinking about that. Because thinking, okay, are they just run? Like how are they running around? And all of a sudden, you hear, I'm hungry, and all of a sudden it's like, it's like, oh,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. What about that? Like, and then the ending's just a mind blower. It takes it to another level, and it's so. It's really, I've seen hundreds of horror movies.
yeah,
That ending is really, that's what made it like a Twilight Zone
yeah.
or Outer Limits. It's had that real good pop at the end, and you're sitting there like with your mouth open, going like, "Holy shit!"
Well, I mean, I don't. Yeah, obviously, we don't want to give it away. But that I knew the way the movie was going to end, all the entire time.
Brilliant.
So it was really just kind of like trying to land that,
Yeah,
And if
you,
I could
you,
do it,
you landed
I
perfectly.
feel like I feel like it would work. So I'm happy it spoke to
Now you mentioned earlier that you're just starting to you feel like do you feel like you're just starting your career now? Do you feel like that vibe, or
you. Well,
are you pretty happy with what
I've
you've
edited a
done?
lot. I've been around film a lot in filmmaking. I do a lot of editing work. I do a lot of color grading, all of those skills. But a lot of those skills, allowed me to do a lot of the things in this movie, and be able to kind of do a lot of work myself. So I'm happy that I've done sound engineering, I've done sound design. I've been on set as a boom operator. I love cameras, but I was not a real cinematographer. I'm a bit of a lens nerd, but having a camera and being a DP and lighting it is a whole different art. And so one of the great things about this story also is that it's all during the day.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
could choose.
I noticed that
Yeah.
too. I could not. I say this a lot. A lot, a lot of the folks in the chat, they hear me talk a lot. And one of the things I absolutely hate, I hate when they have a fight at night. It's just like, you know what? I don't want to see a fight at night. I want to see fight during the day. I want to be able to see it.
See
You
it.
know, every time they have a monster movie or something like that, or a crime caper or a superhero movie, all of a sudden they're fighting at night, and it's like, I want to see a fight at night. A fight during the day, I want to see it.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
you
it's
know,
very practical for me. The short film did this too, but that's where I got the idea. But basically, if you shoot during the day, it gives me it's kind of this thing that I have to factor in. One, I'll have less control because the weather's always going to be there, and so in shadows are always going to change. And then two, if the weather's right, I don't need to set up any lights. I can just put up a reflector board or do maybe some minimal lighting. I spent a lot of time experimenting with lenses and really kind of working with what would work and how I could keep them wide open and get a lot of light in there. And it made the process work, and it made the actual filming go faster, because on an actual set, you have to do setups every time you turn around.
right.
You're relighting everything. So I didn't really have to do that. It was just turn around. Now it was almost like a documentary.
What was your first set that you walked on? I mean, that you walked on where you sort of knew, like, when you're 7 or 8, you're there, but you're not really sure exactly how things work necessarily. But what was the first? How old were you when you first walked on your first set and you
Well,
looked around and were like,
I
this is
mean,
so
I
cool.
remember the first few seasons of I think it was shot in LA first, but then it moved up to Vancouver, MacGyver. I remember visiting that set. It was very cold, but yeah, you look at so many people and the big machines and the big lights and the cameras, and it's all just very exciting, fun.
So I guess one of the questions I would ask you too is, so did you at least get to fly the Corsair at all?
The what?
Did
No,
you get to fly the Corsair?
no.
What? Oh man, what's going on with that? You should have been able to fly. Like James took me down the Keys.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Uh,
No.
what,
Um,
what, what was your impression? I just, because this is sort of exciting too, because I'm thinking this all shapes your journey. But what was it like, meeting some of these people like Robert Conrad or Richard Anderson? I
I
mean,
never met Robert Conrad. That was a little before. That was the early '70s, I think. I Richard Dean Anderson's very nice. I mean, I haven't seen him in years. I mean, when I was a kid,
right.
But yeah, he was a very nice guy. Uh, it's always, my experience with any person that would come up and talk to my dad was always just. It's funny. They're all just, even if they're very famous, they're all people, and most of the time they're just talking about
Work.
something work, yeah, like the industry or talking shop. It's how you doing, how things been. So everyone's been, they were all nice.
When your dad's illness happened, I mean, how did that did that bring you two closer as father and son? Did you end up like helping him around a little bit?
I did. I became kind of his eyes.
Yeah.
um and it was it was obviously a really big change. It was a hard change on the family. It was a hard change um on him, and he was kind of having to deal with that because he never expected that he would lose his sight, and it would clearly mean that he would not be able to do what he loves doing, which is acting. Even though in retrospect, he did act for a long time after that, and even got to do some plays blind, which for me, the idea, I find that incredible how brave he was, that he would get up on a stage and still act. They used to put a little line around. I remember he was doing a Waiting for Godot at the Santa Paula Theater Center, and they'd put this little line that was the edge, so that he could feel it with his cane. But if he went too far, he could fall off. So, but yeah, I remember going to movies with him. He loved movies. We would go to movies early, and it would be so we could have empty theaters, or somewhat empty theater. And as I was watching, I would start just describing the scene to him. And at first, it was probably pretty bad and kind of crude. But the more we would do this, the better I would get. So it would be, what's the most important thing to tell him, the visual aspect of the film, so that he could get, there was 5 people in a room, or he's looking at him now, to just have the story work for him, who is a person that couldn't see. And I think that was, I can't place it, but I feel like that was very influential on
Yes,
my writing and what I feel.
I agree with that 100%. I agree with you 100%. I think you sitting there and you're describing a story to him, I am sure that it influenced you as you're writing. I mean, because you're writing. I mean, the writing that I've seen so far, as far as the pond, and I connected with Brightwood, is visionary. It really is.
Thank you.
It's remarkable.
Well, thank you. Wow.
I just impressed as hell, and obviously that was your biggest influence as far as as far as your career went. And there's one thing I have to say I'm struck by is you you never traded in on your name for your success. It was all you. Either you did it or you didn't.
Well, yeah. I mean, I suppose it's certainly been a journey. I had to find my way to at least making this feature, and I'm happy, and fingers crossed. It's always kind of a nerve-wracking time because it's about to come out on August 22nd.
Yep.
But in terms of kind of that goal of making a feature film, and then working with these amazing people, Max Wartendine and Dana Berger, and having this collaboration and seeing it through to the end. Yeah, I mean, it's been quite an experience. Many highs and lows, but I think maybe it'll be a couple of months, but I feel like eventually I'll be like, okay, yes, we did actually do this. And because it was a big process, it was a big decision, and then having that drive to then be able to kind of take on all of these different positions to actually then just go shoot it was not something I thought I would do. It was not something that I don't know if I ever want to do again. I'd like to have other collaborators, like a DP and all of that on a set. But it was something that we did it, and we got it done. So,
do you consider yourself a horror? Did you like horror films in general, or suspense films? I mean,
I love horror films. I love sci-fi movies. I think it's funny. We opened at Other Worlds in Austin. That was where we had our U.S. premiere, and it's predominantly a sci-fi festival, but they had this other horror element part of it, and we were doing trivia, and I hadn't thought about some of these things, but I was answering these trivia questions, these sci-fi trivia questions, and I was pretty good. So I think that infused, when I was a kid and watching all these like flying saucer movies and 50s sci-fi, kind of really got in my psyche. But I have always also loved horror films. Do I think that I'm solely like a horror writer or a horror director? No, I think I love a good story. I think the thing that I've been working on most recently is probably like a solid Hitchcockian thriller. It's not really a horror at all.
Yeah, yeah. How did you? I mean, how did you? Okay, so I know Max and you said you're producing
Mhm.
partner, and so how did you find Dana for this?
It was Max. They had worked on a play in New York a few years before, and it was tough. It was who were we going to get that not only they would have chemistry and be friends, but also to go out in the woods
Right.
and have this kind of we were gonna really rough it out there.
She's
So
fearless. She's fearless.
oh yeah, no, I know. She got on the water. She did all of that stuff. She dunked her head into that gut pile. I think that I spoke with her. Max suggested her. We got on the phone, and she just really connected with it. And she was ready to take that leap with us, and I'm forever grateful because the set in general was incredibly professional, and we did our best. I think that having grown up on sets,
Right.
we knew what we were doing, so everything was professional. Every weapon and every stick there had a rubber tip on it. We were all very safe. It was a very safe set. However, it's just being out in the woods, being uncomfortable, and they needed to have this chemistry and friendship because they were going to have the actors were going to have their kind of like job, and they were the actors, and I was making this film, and I was kind of a little crossing in between if I needed to, work with them, but they needed to be really good friends because I was going to be like so focused on everything else, filming the movie, and so that really factored into why Dana came on board as well.
Now, when you made the pond, did you enter into any festivals? Did
Yeah,
it?
we got into a few festivals. Yeah, some
And
fun ones.
it must have won a few awards. Did anybody come up to you when they found out? Did anybody approach you about making a feature film? And if they did they offer to buy your script?
No, 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 because I had not had the feature film was not written yet, and I didn't have even though I wanted to write it, I hadn't really fleshed out everything.
I was
Um,
thinking about that the short film Cargo. Cargo was like a 6.5 minute long
uh-huh.
story, and then it's absolutely beautiful and perfect.
Yeah.
And then they made it into a feature film, and they replaced the gentleman who played the father in it. They replaced him with Martin Freeman, and they made it in 90 minutes.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, that like the zombie.
Right.
Was it a zombie movie? Yeah.
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 And to me, it just seemed like it took the heart of the movie out when it replaced the actor. To me, I was like, was that the same? When people saw the pond, when you're mentioning it becoming a feature film or making a feature film, or did anybody? I mean, did anybody come to you and say that's great? We'd like to go ahead and like I said, buy your script, buy your concept, and then make it a feature length. Did anybody come?
No, it was very successful in the sense that, and this is good for any filmmakers out there too. It's successful in the sense that it got me having some conversations with other filmmakers, and making the short gave me some credibility with my actor friends. He can do that. It got into some festivals, and so the conversations were starting there. What else can we work on next? Um, we shot the pond on an iPhone in the lake, in the pond that I lived near, and it got into some festivals. It was so fun to like go out and meet other people. So something that started so small, turned into this eventually. It took 5 years, but it is important that making that small film, that's short. And I know it does happen often that shorts become, features, but that it was a huge part of it. But there was no planning. It was never, I'm going to make this short, which is going to become a feature. It just kind of organically happened that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Because up to that time, you had just done short films. This is not only is this is also your feature length debut.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, let's see. Let's see. Uh, oh, okay. Hey, Andre, how are you? I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here. We were talking with screenwriter director Dane Elcar, who made what I feel is the best movie of the year, at Brightwood, that we coming out next Tuesday on Cinephobia releasing.
Mhm.
Um, Now, did you get a physical copy release? Did Ray making physical copies for
The
you?
DVD? I mean,
Yeah,
I helped make the DVD. Yeah, I actually don't have one yet. I hope to
yeah.
get one soon.
That it's funny. It's funny. It's like
Yeah.
the very first movie he sent me was Molly. He sent me the Molly, and I'm sitting there, and I wrote my review, and then I found the director on social media, on Facebook, and him and I were talking, and I'm going like, I love your movie so much, and I got the Blu-ray is amazing, and he goes, you got a Blu-ray? And I'm going like, well, yeah, I got a Blu-ray, and I'm thinking, of course, you're the director,
Yeah,
I'm sure you got boxes back there. He goes,
that's funny.
I didn't get a Blu-ray. I says, you
Yeah.
didn't? You only got a DVD? I didn't get anything. I was like, oh, that's not right. Um,
Yeah.
well, good. I just wanted to know that because
I'll
I already hit him up. I
I'll push
I
him.
already hit
I'll
Ray
get
up.
on Ray. You better
Yeah,
send me.
I hit up Ray already. Like, did you do a director's commentary on for special features?
We did a director and cast. So it's me, Dana, and Max on
Nice.
the commentary.
Nice.
The original
So
short
happy
film
about
is
that.
there, and then we have about almost 12 minutes of deleted scenes and some bloopers and stuff, which are fun.
Oh, I'm sure the bloopers were really great.
Yeah, I mean, it was generally it was a fun shoot, and we, I mean, the actors had a lot of fun. I was stressed out most of the time, but we got like a lot of footage that we just didn't end up using. So it's a lot of fun stuff.
Let's see. Andre's mentioning that DVDs are essential. Yes, definitely. We're all physical
I
media.
agree. Yeah,
Um,
I agree.
so was The Sadler's Son the first movie that you wrote that you took to film, or had you worked on any? Had you written any screenplays that other people filmed on your behalf? Like I got the script right here, and
Yeah,
someone says, I want to make it. I want to make your story. Or
I
was
have not. I'm open to the idea of, obviously reading scripts, but so far it's only been stuff that I've written and kind of felt passionate about and connected to. Sadler's Son was one of the first things that I did with Max, and it's really again, you're just kind of experimenting. I shot it. Max has a very long monologue. I mean, I think for what we did, it was quite an interesting film. However, I don't know if I have it available to watch. I don't think it is anywhere, but it was a good stepping stone. Again, Max had just come out of Juilliard. We started working. I started working with a camera and kind of setting up lights. So it's all great practice. I mean, short films to me are great practice and a great way to just kind of start and get your stuff out there, because it's so important to take that leap. You got to start sending stuff out and seeing where it lands.
Was there anybody? As far as far as you got older, you got a little bit more into the business. Was there anybody that guided you or influenced you, or to take the next step?
Like
Because
a mentor. What's funny? I've had in places in my life. There's been some great people that have always really helped kind of guide me. However, I think that in terms of directing and writing, it was really a lot. I think a lot of it just comes, like I said, from growing up in theater. In terms of photography, and I don't consider myself like a DP, though I have been hired as a DP. But like that came out of a love of photography, and I did kind of have this guide when I was younger that was a great photographer and kind of dealing with negatives and dealing with light and lenses and all of that. So that led to this. But in terms of the director, no, I kind of just did self-taught, kind of went at it. I never went to film school. Again, just jumping in and seeing what you can do, and kind of finding your way.
did you like casting the movie? How many did you audition anybody else other than Max and Dana, or was that
No. I was just Max and Dana. Yeah. I mean, I kind of spoke to them. I spoke to Dana. I knew Max was going to be in it. I also knew that Max Max knows me, and he also, these characters, again, part of this relationship that you have with actors is that both of those people, are kind of in my head too. And so there's a little bit of Dan in me, and Max kind of picked up on that. And there's a little bit of Jen in me, and Dana kind of picked up on that. And so that was part of the process, and it was so great, and they were so great to kind of have on and collaborate with.
It's funny, we had actor Daniel Hill on last week, and we were talking about momentum. And do you feel how important do you feel momentum is to a filmmaker's game plan? I mean, is it important to always be moving forward? Because like he mentioned, when he got going, then COVID hit, and then you overcome that. You hear people say, well, things are starting to open up, they're starting to get better, things are starting to flow more, and all of a sudden now the strike has hit. Do you feel like, I mean, are you nervous for your film? I mean, is this like the worst thing that could happen to it?
I think that, well, in terms of momentum, I think that that what I found is that it all kind of starts with the initial, especially as a writer, it all just kind of starts with that initial sharing of your script. You get it to a place where you want to you share it, zits and all. You got to give it to somebody. They got to read it, and they got to tell you whether they like it or not, or they got to connect with it. And what I find, oddly enough, is that every time I've done that, it starts that momentum. So then the next person will come on board, or the next meeting will happen, and then that goes on, and it's this kind of natural process. And then suddenly you're like, okay, let's do this. You're in production or pre-production. That has its own sort of momentum that you have to keep going. And working with Max, he's such a great producer. We planned so much of this film out. We had like a giant Bible that was the shot lists, every lens I was going to use, everything down to a lens change, how long it would be. And having this plan and keeping it going and keeping the conversation going, made it so that when we were on set, we actually found that we had a lot more time in some of our scenes. So it allowed me to utilize that. And so it's like, let's do another take. Let's play around a little bit. And I think that was very important. But yeah, I mean, momentum, it just keeps going, and you write it out. And now it's like every stage is a different thing. So you finish the film, then it's about finding distribution. How does that actually work? Keep that ball going. And then now we're actually in this release. So I'm doing these interviews and podcasts, and it's been a thrill ride and exciting. It's also been, it's a bit exhausting. I think somewhere down the line, I hope I can just like sit and maybe have a vacation or something, or just kind of relax.
But you know what? I'm going to ask you for a favor. Will you do me one favor, Dane?
Yeah.
Our friend Snow, at least, she says, I'm afraid to even ask someone to read me as far as script goes.
Yeah.
I'm always terrified of being accused of soliciting. Will you do me a favor, and I get the information? Would you read my friend's script for her and give her your honest feedback?
I will certainly try. Yes, send it to me. I will certainly try. I'm obviously gonna Snow, right? I'm gonna have a lot of stuff I'm doing.
I will talk to her after the show, and I'll get a place where she can send it, and she can get some honest. Yeah.
But I will say that that is not, you're not alone there. A lot of writers have that issue of kind of like, okay, I've gotten to this point. When is it done? And I've been blessed with. I was pretty dyslexic when I was a kid, so I'm still dyslexic now, but the idea of like there being typos or a sentence not being perfect, I can't do that anyway. I'm constantly writing typos and all of that stuff. So really it's
you can't read through typos, and and you haven't learned how to read yet.
Yeah. But to me, it's about getting the emotionality of the story down, getting the story down, and then being able to share it. And you might hear back that it's not very good. You might hear back that they don't connect with it. It doesn't mean that it's a bad story. It just means that that part, the sharing part, is the next step. And the sooner you do that and just kind of take that leap, then you will find that it'll take you to the next thing. Okay, well, even to this day, I give a script to Max. Max is, again, a great producer. He's a great storyteller himself. You get back that 10-page thing of notes, and then you're kind of like, what
Did
is
Max
it?
give you notes on your script?
Oh, sure, yeah.
Oh.
And then you're kind of like, well, what works, what isn't working.
So weird though, because he's doing that. Because he's in both producing mode and acting mode. It's like,
yeah. Well, I mean, I think that was I will say this in terms of this. I might be mixing up the scripts, because in terms of this script, he maybe didn't give me as many notes, but it was a conversation. It was a constant conversation because we were constantly reading. I've since developed another script with him that took 3 years, and yeah, you betcha, it was a lot of conversations, a lot of notes, a lot of back and forth. But it's you learn to deal with that. It's part of the writing process. It's part of making a film. And what I find is that your initial fight is like, no, what I write is perfect. However, what it ends up being is that through those conversations and looking at those notes are not always, most of the time, they're not right. The notes, it's just something about the script is not landing with them. So then you go back and you start thinking about how can I adjust it, or what do I need to adjust? It could be as simple as just changing a bit of dialogue, just.
It might be, maybe having the male lead have a little bit more dialogue, maybe.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it depends. It all depends.
Let's change the character of the best friend. Let's change him into a kick-ass. Well,
Yeah.
wait, aren't you the best friend, Max? Well, yeah, but did you get my notes?
Yeah. Of course.
Have you ever submitted your work to anybody else other than Max for feedback?
Oh yeah. No, I have a whole group of people that friends that I'll share, initial things with, and they'll kind of get back to me. And, it's that's the other side of it too, especially if it's a script. It's very hard to get people to read a script. So if you find people that are willing to read a script, by God, yeah, give them the script. Because then again, that starts the whole process.
Okay, our friend Starlord said that he's going to write he calls it fanscription. That's a new term. I thought it was fan fiction, but I guess it's fanscription now. He's going to rewrite the Ring of Power. Good Lord, I think they need that help. Think they need that help. Our good friend Reed is enjoying our conversation. I am enjoying it immensely myself. I am the happiest guy on the planet right now. This is let's see. He's talking about his story. Andre's mentioning, I forget apostrophes and corners. A lot of people get too confused with that. I don't know how important precise grammar is to a script. I mean, I know you take it through, and I know you polish it over and over and over.
Yeah, I mean, eventually,
I feel like it's just there. Just if it's not perfectly grammatically written, it's like, come on, really? You're reading the story, you get the gist of what is going on. And when it goes to script, as far as writing the script goes with dialogue or whatnot, yeah, then maybe you firm it up, make it 100% clean. But if you're writing a concept, right, a proof of concept, sure. If you're writing that, whatnot, I don't think it necessarily needs to be 100%, grammatically correct. It just needs to be enough so you get the idea of where the story is going to go and how it's going to get there. Is that fair assessment?
I think it's a process. I think that in general, yes, that you shouldn't be, as you're writing it, you shouldn't be too worried. I do think that once you get to a place where you're going to share the script, out to producers or readers, then you do want it to be as polished as possible, that you can get. But that's why it's so important to have as many eyes on it as you go. That's, I guess, the whole thing is, don't think that the first script that you're going to show people needs to be perfect. It's a process, and when you're on rewrite 10, then yeah, sit down and really do a good look to make sure everything is dotted and in the right place.
I
Um,
I never knew that scripts got passed. Like I always thought, well, when you write a script and you turn it in, that's what it is. It wasn't until I talked to another screenwriter who said that a lot of times they'll just take the script and they'll run it through and they'll run it through and they'll run it through like three or four different writers, and
oh
by the
sure,
time you get
yeah,
your story back, it's like, who wrote this? This is pretty good. You
yeah,
know, you
yeah.
know.
Yeah. I mean,
It's like,
that's the very Hollywood way of that. It's always been that way. But yeah, you option your script off unless it's very specifically in your contract. They can potentially go and have other writers work on it and polish it up. Sure.
um, so what scares you, Dane? What's some of the things that scare you as a person? Is there anything that scares you that you can take and go like, you know what, that scares the shit out of me, but that'd make a good script. Do you ever
Yeah.
have those moments? Do you ever have those moments?
Yeah, I was a pretty anxious kid, especially in my early 20s. But I I think I would, other than having kind of a moment in my life where it was general anxiety disorder, I think that making a feature film scared me. And you do it because I wanted to do it, and it was very scary. The whole process has been scary.
Just
Um,
wait, just wait till I've already seen a few of the reviews, and I got to talk to Ray about this because my
yeah.
review's not on his website. That's
Oh,
that's going to
yeah.
change. If I'm the one that's sitting there telling them that this is the best fucking movie of the year, right here, right now. I'm not even kidding. It's not even close.
Yeah.
I've
No,
seen a
thank
lot of
you.
films this year, and yeah. Uh, uh, Wardy, are you ready for the reviews? I mean, how important are reviews to you? Um,
It's interesting. I love film criticism, and I think that film, if it's a real, reviewer and a critic who loves film and has a passion for it, opinions are opinions. People are gonna like the film. Uh, I like it better when it actually comes from a real place of criticism, and I think that that's very important because the discourse on film is so important. I think it used to be so much more so in our part of our culture. um if if you go on Letterbox and you see some of the reviews or something, it doesn't bother me. It's just everyone's going to have their opinions. I do like to read the reviews, even though I've been told don't. I still kind of do.
I don't really take the letterbox reviews that seriously. I take the ones that are put it on. I guess I'm more of a video reviewer these days,
Yeah,
though I have 500 written reviews. Um, I just feel like I feel like someone reading from a website, or seeing a review of with some to go into depth into the review.
yeah.
Um, I think it's cool. I take that a lot more seriously than I do something from Letterbox, because I don't know why. Sometimes I feel like people who jot out reviews in Letterbox, I think they're trying to perform for their fellow Letterbox people. Like, how obnoxious can I be for my followers? And it's like, that's you're coming
Yeah.
from a bad place. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and obviously, true criticism is the way it always worked for me is that you get to know the critic. Their personality becomes infused into the writing, and then you get to know their opinion, their honest opinion about a film, and then that can inform you of how you might look at that film, or you might pick up something even more. But yeah, I mean, it is just what it is. That's the culture we're living in now, where everybody's
I
doing these
never
short
felt
reviews.
the critic should never be bigger than the movie that they're reviewing. It should
Mhm.
never it should not be about them at all. It should be about the filmmaker and the movie itself. Which is why growing up, and you could relate to this because I know you remember him, but growing up, I mean, where they made Rex Reed into a celebrity. After a while, though, he was writing for his audience. He wasn't writing from a true perspective of of a critic. He was just like
Yeah.
he was being mean because people expected him to be mean.
Mm,
When he and so he played into that, and that wasn't true. That's not true critic. That's not being a true critic. That's just being a panderer.
sure.
Um,
Yeah.
hi, Brene. How are you? So what young talent, what directors, what movies right now are really impressing you, Dane? I mean, is there any actors out there, actresses out there that if you get a chance for your next film, see, I've already gotten you going on the next one. Is there anybody out there right now that really impresses you that you like to work with? On as far as cinematography, acting, you know.
It's funny. I kind of take the. I mean, yes, no one is specifically coming to mind right at the moment. But I take each project kind of its own thing, and I have to kind of shift into that. And so, I don't know if I've been able to shift out of this one just yet. I'm still kind of my whole headspace is working on this film. I mean, there are future projects lined up. We are, everything's kind of currently on hold with the strike and everything. So, but in terms of what is exciting right now, I mean, it's funny. My life with my now 7-year-old daughter is when I go see a movie, I go see Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken, so or or one of those things. But there's a lot of really great independent cinema out there. Um,
Oh, don't worry, my friend. You're not the only one. I'm actually gearing up to see this one. I'm super psyched about it. So this is one I'm really looking forward to seeing. Um, I have not seen this one yet, but I am going to watch this, and that's Skinner Moranik.
oh, Skinamarink, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm ready. I'm ready for this. I'm ready for
Yeah,
that.
it's an interesting one.
I have a feeling this. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. The trailer is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah,
trailer could be a short film all in itself.
yeah.
Uh, uh, yeah, as far as that goes, when you write, what's your process in writing? How does that work for you? I mean, you got a wife and you got a daughter. Um, do you have
A lot of the
certain days?
times nowadays it means a lot that when I haven't been writing for a bit, but a few months ago I was working on something pretty hard. Yeah, I'm up at 4:30 in the morning, and I usually have a few hours where I do a lot of writing just because of there's that quiet. And then as soon as my daughter wakes up, it's kind of like go go go, get her to school, do all that stuff. I might be able to write a little bit more. Um, but I've always been when I'm in that headspace, I actually quite enjoy it because my brain, it's as long as you have that kind of routine and you're just going to commit to it. Sitting down and actually writing is, to me, it's very cathartic and kind of I, I sometimes it can be tough. Obviously, sometimes it can be really hard to get it out, but yeah, you just stick with it. Just keep writing word by word.
Is your dad with you when you write? Do you hear him in your mind's eye, or do you put any of his work on the TV? Does that
Uh,
help? Does that help you out?
no, I work in very quiet situation. But I always think my dad's kind of, I mean, someplace in my brain, but no, in terms of, I don't listen to music. I don't do anything. It's very quiet. I need kind of like a quiet space,
Mm.
and then let it kind of happen.
I can't wait for this movie to come out. Oh yes, therapeutic. Late night piece of writing. Yeah. Yes. I love. I like. When I write, I like to write at night too. I
Hmm.
write at night, and yeah, I can put on a little bit of music. Like I put on Hans Zimmer,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
that seems to really help out a lot. It helps me keep focused, and so I understand that. Do you have a
Yeah.
writer's box? Do you have like a box where you have several scripts in the various development stages? Do you have
I
them in
mean,
like a box?
I have scripts that I go back and forth in my head, like, oh, I need to work on this, I need to work on that. But I really screenwriting is this thing. There's always stuff that I'm kind of working on, either in my head or I will take a moment and write stuff down. However, it's this kind of fluid situation where it's like, if somebody starts taking an interest in this idea, you got to kind of shift all your energy to that, because filmmaking is a collaborative art, so people do have to kind of want to make that. Otherwise, you're just going to be focused on a script that isn't potentially going to get made. And for me, yeah, focus on the thing that you can actually make and get it done.
So how did you meet Ray? I mean, for your movie to be distributed by Cinephobia.
We have a sales rep, and she's wonderful, and she got in touch with Ray, and we met through her, and then we spoke on the phone, and he's a great guy, and we
had you ever heard of art exploitation up to the time where you talked to him?
I had not. No. As soon as I got on, as soon as I knew I was going to be talking to him, we did some kind of research and stuff, and then it kind of all came together. But I had not really heard about or heard of the art exploitation. But it was exciting because he had sold his company to Kino Lorber. He started his new company, and it was kind of this thing of like, okay, well, let's take the leap, and see what we can do in this. And I think Cinephobia releasing, I mean, I can't speak for Ray, but I think that he's making some really bold choices and really kind of trying to find things that he isn't 100% sure are going to work, but he's making those bold choices.
He's fearless too.
Yeah.
I mean, not only is he doing, like I've had so many firsts with him. Like the first time I ever watched and reviewed a film from Argentina, from the Netherlands, it's just so many great films that I never would have been exposed to, but for art exploitation. When I got it was funny because it's like I knew that too about Kino Lorber, because he wrote me an email and he says I sold the company to Kino Lorber, so I just wanted to say, he didn't think he was going to be able to, he thought that was going to be it. He's going to be, he had a position for Kino Lorber, but he really didn't know what was going on. And so basically I thought that was over with, just didn't even pay any attention to it or whatnot. And then a few weeks ago, I got a package in the mail, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what this is, but I opened it up and I brought it out, and it's this movie from Argentina. It was a film, and I'm going like, I'm looking at it, I'm going like, this cover looks familiar to me. But like, I don't know who Cinephobia is, but it looks familiar to me, and I'm going like, that's the same. It's the same cover, the same spine as art exploitation was. So I'm looking at it going like, no. So I went upstairs and I said, is this you? Are you, really? I said, are you back? Because I was overjoyed. And he says, yeah, I'm back. I'm starting a new company. I'm like, oh, I should have known. And next thing you know, he sent me your movie.
Yeah.
He sent me another movie called The Glass Table.
Mm-hmm.
The Glass Table.
Is it the coffee table or is it the glass table? Okay, yeah, I want to see that one. Yeah, that one.
That's gonna fuck you up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what he told me too. So I really do want to see that one.
Yeah, it fucked me up too. I'm sitting there going like,
oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I don't never really gotten hill off of a movie. Never have.
Yeah.
But that one had me heading toward the bathroom.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't, but I was that close. I could, it's like, oh my God, it was so stressful. It's so fucking.
All right. Well, I definitely want. I'm gonna get that film.
And it's a good movie though, but not as good as Brightwood. Just being honest. Not as good as your movie. Your movie had me just like, there's a difference between. I mean, I enjoyed it, and I'm sitting there with my mouth open. I'm like, this is just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I will say this, that I'm sure wherever he is, I'm sure your dad is proud as hell for the work you made. Yeah.
Thank you. That's very nice to say. And I'm so excited, that it spoke to you, and so happy that it spoke to you. And thank you for bringing me on and inviting me on.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I'm looking forward to Max. He's coming out Friday. We're going to chop it up. and I'm going to see his side of that and his career.
Yeah.
But,
Whole different story. That Dane Elcar's an asshole. He was yelling at us the whole time.
That son of a bitch. Yeah. He didn't tell you this, but he's actually got one of the Black Sheep planes in his backyard. And he wouldn't let me fly it. The son of a bitch.
Yeah, of course.
Dane, I want to thank you for coming out and hanging out with us tonight. I had absolutely a joy talking with you. It's an honor to talk to you. Congratulations on Brightwood. It's going to kick ass. Absolutely going to kick ass. The reviews are already coming in, and they're stellar. I'm so excited for you. And Dana and Max, you guys worked your asses off for it, and it shows on the screen. And it's coming out next Tuesday on the 22nd. You can get it most likely or not through the Kino Lorber. Kino Lorber is actually carrying the movie, as well as Cinephobia releasing. I'll put all Dane's socials down below. I think I already did that, but I'll put more on here. Yes, I will get some information so our friend Alicia can send you her script. And that's very kind of you. I mean, I understand that fear. You know, I do understand that fear. And it's like, you know what? You got something really cool, and you want to show somebody, and you're afraid you're going to get shot out of the saddle before you even get, even approach.
Yeah.
I just think it's just like, you know what? Why not encourage somebody to do it? Hey, if reading the script can help them take that next step, I got a little bit of time. I got a tiny bit of time.
Of course.
Yeah. I appreciate that. All right, boys and girls. Real quick, I should ask if anybody has any questions, but I had not seen any questions. Does anybody have any questions? Like how come you didn't get a Corsair? That's my question. I love this show. I also love MacGyver too. I got 4 seasons in my back. You can't see it. I got 4 seasons.
MacGyver's like, I turn it on, it's like chicken soup for me. It's kind of like I get to just hang out and watch my dad and watch the whole show. And I love them, because they're fun. They're very progressive for their time, it's great. So
a lot of fun. I mean, that's just a classic series. Such a fun one too. And it was actually I don't think anybody ever really died on the show, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think anybody died. I just think it was just action and adventure.
A few people, but yeah, he was very nonviolent. It was all about using his brain and solving problems. And I think that's kind of amazing considering the time that it came out in, and they really stuck to their guns or lack thereof. They stuck to their duct tape and Swiss Army knife and your brain to solve
bubble gum and baling wire.
Yeah.
Did you watch the remake? Did you watch the reboot at all?
I have not. No, not really.
I have not either. I did not watch it. All right. That will be that will be it for tonight. Tomorrow night, I'm not sure. This is so bad. If she's listening to me, she wants to kick my ass, she's able to. Tomorrow night, we're scheduled to have our singer-songwriter Iris will be here. I'm not sure if that's going to happen. So I might be back on Thursday with Kylie Nicole. And then Friday, we'll be back with Max. Max will be here with us on Friday night. So that's it for us. Hi, Michelle. How are you? I agree with that. Snow was perfectly done. It was done perfect the first time around. I'm with you. All right, boys and girls. Hey, stay right where you're at for 1 minute. Everybody else in the chat, I want to say good night, and we will talk to you soon. Peace.
Bye. Thank you.